Damn ear. What up, y'all? This is your boy Gerald. It is the 10th of June, y'all. 2016. How is everybody doing? You are about to step into your weekend. Yes, you are. About to step into that beautiful weekend. So with that, I can congratulate you for making through your week. Sidestepping the negativity. Grounding your feet. Speaking your truth. And of course, placing God first in everything you do. And you know what? You deserve that. You genuinely deserve that. So how you doing, y'all? How was your week? Was it okay? Was there anything that came out of the woodwork that you wasn't prepared for that caused you to take notice? How about this? How about the things that you may have indirectly took notice of that you wanted to sidestep, but due to the situation, it felt like it was trying to bring you in the midst of it. Y'all know that's your discernment, right? Hmm? You know that's your angels trying to let you know, like, hey, this is not the way. You gotta bear with me, y'all. My mom, love my mom in pieces. My mom blessed me with these long eyelashes, and during the spring months, they become reminders. Because anything that's in the air, it lands on those lashes. So let me get my bearings straight. Because right now I'm kind of blurry. But I'm putting this out today because, like I said, you get ready to start in. You getting ready to jump into hopefully a great weekend. The weather is starting to facilitate all the signatures of the summer. And let's be honest, you and I both know this is going to be that summer that will have the paper fans. Yeah, you know those ones you see, you remember seeing in the church, because people are going to be hot. And with that, emotions are going to be short. A lot of things that will have to complete their cycle are going to come to the surface during this period that we know summer. And you're going to have to be prepared for it. So what I'm asking you to do is to prepare for that. Because I got a feeling that some of y'all are coming to a place where those spiritual seeds have started to let you know that, hey, the harvest is here. And the harvest is the fruit of the works that were done, the things that were set in motion directly or indirectly, and now the end result is there. No matter what the end result may be, just know this: you still got two gifts. One, to unconditionally love yourself, and the other is free will. So that means it's very important that you make sure that wherever you are, your foundation is grounded before you act or respond to any decision that is being required for you to sign off on. Remember, y'all, nothing happens by chance. Nothing. You got to sign off for it. You have to. And I'm not saying take a position of denial, because you got plenty of people doing that. Well, we got what, $7.6 billion, 7.6 people, 7.6 billion people on this planet. I guarantee half of them have no clue who they are, where they're going, but more importantly, why they're here. See, that's all about the spiritual confusion. There are going to be people that were brought on this planet blind to the fact. I remember that was a snippet. I can't think of a song, but PE used that phrase in one of the songs. I think it was Night of the Living Bassheads thing. Anyway, it's irrelevant. But this summer is going to be a summer that you're going to remember for a very long time. Because a lot of y'all have also come to this. The ball of string that you've been pulling on to see how long you can go has run out. Some of y'all may be having your, what we call proverbial Forrest Gump moments. You've been running, and you've seen a lot of things. You've interacted with a lot of people, and you have come to that place that have had not only many epiphanies, but many revelations. And now the preparation is over and you are going home. I commend you on that. Some of y'all are having this come across your mind. Why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? And you're starting to have the courage to face your fears. You got to remember something, y'all. Nobody gets a pass by choosing not to acknowledge what is broken. Nobody, except that opportunist. Because you know what? Thing about that opportunist? Not only do they not see your worth, well, they see your worth. That's why they're there. But what is evident is you also realize they didn't want you to see yours. You also understand the commonalities of why they walked into your life and the price it costs. This is not a moment to slam you. I'm not. If anything, I am emotionally patting you on your back, letting you know, thank you, you got there. Now that you got there, what are you going to do? Because guess what? You got to let the healing process take root. The more you allow yourself to heal, the more clarity will come. The more clarity that will come, that will foster the position you will take to be more strategic and tactical in the choices that you will make in the future. Don't worry about looking for a get back. Don't worry about that. Don't do it. I say that because some of y'all are starting to realize that, hey, look here. This ain't fable. This ain't allegory. Yes, God is real. Damn right he's real. But you know what else is real? His love for you. If you only knew how much you were loved, you could have saved so much emotional misdirection if you had only had the courage to go within yourself. If you only had the courage. But guess what? You have those that are operating in a mindset that because of how they were conditioned, how they were raised, They don't see, or they don't have the ability to understand that what was a want compared to a need. And that is what's plaguing a lot of our communities. That is one of the underlying things that are attacking our women. See, women have been under attack since Eve bit the apple. Just because I believe that when Eve bit the apple, that was the birth of insecurity. See, if she had decided to honor what God had put down and said, this is what you can do, this is what I need you to do, and this is what you better not do, the world wouldn't be where it is. Because you got to remember, once they bit that apple, that's when they were ashamed of their nakedness and ran for coverage. Doesn't that describe insecurity? I think so. You can't have fear without insecurity. They go hand in hand. So ask yourself this: if you know what's broken and you worried about what everybody else's opinion is about you, why won't you invest on the things be to heal it? Why won't you do it? Because see, we live in a world where people want instantaneous result with less investment, and have the nerve to fix their mouth when it does not turn out the way they do. And even those who do reap that benefit, they're able to manipulate it so it is in their favor. Guess what? There's a lesson that comes with it. And guess what? Ultimately, it falls apart because it wasn't meant for them to have, because they didn't plant the seeds to acquire it. I saw something yesterday on social media, and I was so happy because now the social climate is changing, the dialogues are changing, and people are getting to a place where they can't turn away. They are starting to finally acknowledge that yes, there's a lot of people walking around broken. Yes, because they're broken, we make money off of that. Yes, because we don't promote being the best you, we manipulate you to come out your pocket. But unfortunately, it was by way of a story that occurred, I think it was New Mexico, and they're talking about how pedophilia is on the rise, how men are starting to gravitate towards high schools because they see the young women and the provocative dress that they choose to wear, and there is a blurred line. Well, I thought about it for a minute, and it goes deeper because you're gonna have people that are gonna continue to do what they want to do no matter, until you blue in the face. It does not change their position until it hits home, until there's a crisis, till there's a gut wrench action that says, no, I don't want this. But you know what? On the flip side, I heard people kind of subtly give justification, which was wrong too. Because on the same breath, right here, you got just as many people that are promoting uh, the acceptance of younger women, uneducated women, gravitating towards older men, young boys gravitating towards older women and saying, it's okay, it's sexuality. Would you eat a meal that's unprepared, even though it's the contents that you desire? I think not. So really, when you think about it, these people are indirectly placing themselves in harm's way by using tactics to lure them from themselves. In other words, what I'm saying is you got to have the foundation to cultivate the behavior. You can't have the behavior unless there's a pattern. You can't have a pattern until you have a embraced thought or ideology to be agreed upon. Where's that thought come from? Has anybody ever thought about that? How's that idea coming to you? Use 6% of your brain, but a lot of times people don't go there. I like to believe that all things are given spiritually. It's spiritual influence, both either angelic or demonic. But then for me to say it that way, that means that's going to lose attention span for those who don't want to. That's why there was such a main promotion for the YOLO, you live only one lifestyle. And what you're young, what's going to happen? So what? Try it, you know. Try the Kool-Aid. Y'all, there's a price in that. And the price is it always reveals itself in its intended time. It's never instantaneous. It's always covert down the road. That means you got to go through a progressive step and stages before that harvest comes. That's why it's always echoed in the Bible, you reap what you sow. So, you're going to convince me that, Queen, you were born on this planet to spend your days and nights confused, to spend your moments that should be bringing the best you, thwarting off those who want to make advances. That's supposed to be your life? Hmm? Hmm? Huh? You gonna tell me you were born on this planet to be a more or less no different than a fast food restaurant with a ticket, and you're serving the next customer? Because that's what's going on, y'all. We are breeding social acceptance by way of covert social prostitution. How about extortion? How about that? When you take a step back, guess what? You see two things. There's a money trail and there's shame. But see, women don't want to hear that. Most women don't want to admit the truth. They don't. Most guys don't care. They're just trying to figure it out, especially for young men. You're trying to figure it out because you didn't have that mentorship. You didn't have someone swoop down and say, hey, look here, I give a damn about you. No, you can't go there. No, I don't want you over there. No, I give a damn about your dreams. But yet on the same breath, these are the things that I long for. The cultivation of your self-worth. It all starts with what's planted inside you. You don't believe me? You don't believe me? Okay. Why don't you go to the next woman that you ask and someone that you have and ask them to be truthful, ask and tell them, ask them that you want to know how many people they slept with. The typical female will never tell you this. You know why? It's not because it's none of your business. It's because it will reveal the shame and burden of making bad choices. And she can't look you eye to eye and tell you the truth. She can't tell you that. She's too afraid because she knows the reality is once you do find this truth, the reality that she's built around the luster and the lure that attracted you, you may leave. This is not a rant. This is not a dis. This is an observation that I know I'm not the only one that's taken note. I told y'all almost 2.5 years, almost 3 years ago. I told you, Queens, it's time for you to ground your feet. Give yourself permission to heal. Stop trying to find false validation in your self-worth. It's your life, not hers. So why are you trying to emulate her? Why are you doing it? And guys do it too. Young men do it too. They idolize what is promoted or whatever the agenda is. That's why every time there's a new puppet, new strategy, business plan with a face, you see thousands of people that want to emulate what they think is new. Why? Because they've already compromised that they're not good enough. But guess what? Maybe they weren't good enough, but actually they were better. But you can't see that until you decide to be still. See, we live in a world now, and I'm just guesstimating that monetarily, the world is using flesh peddling. Everything's about the flesh, the senses, to generate revenue now. Got a product, put a pretty girl in front of it. It could be a box of poison. If she's pretty, it's gonna catch your eye. It's about the senses, wordplay, colors. I don't have to go into that. Just go to your local store. You'll see that they operate off of those things. Titillating your senses by using colors and strategies of how they place them so that the end result, you take that the box X home. Revenue. That's what you do. That's why jingles work, you know? But guess what? You putting all this effort out to put money out for things that are only to satisfy a temporary need. No, actually a want. But who's investing in you? Hmm? Who's putting the time in for you? How about those times when you're sick or you're sitting on the bench and you need to recover off of something? Who's there? But the real question should be asked, who's not? You think that your life is, listen, the greatest investment you're going to ever have is becoming the person you're destined to become. That person. Because see, that person is going to have a testimony. That person is going to have a story. But you know what that person's not going to have? They're not going to make an excuse for their lives. And the reason for that is they have come to a place of understanding. And that's why you see a lot of times when people choose and pretty much give up their emotional perception matches their actions. Did you hear what I said? Their perceptions, their outlook matches their emotional disposition, who they are. It matches. It's in tandem. Because you can't do one without the other. Because then you would be a walking contradiction. Does that happen? Yeah, they happen. And guess what? That's when people get exposed too. Not by your hands, by themselves. Because you got to understand something, y'all. There's no greater satisfaction knowing that you have done something with your own merits to completion. You know what comes out of that? You gain a lot of insight about the process. But you gain more wisdom about the failures. I know I'm talking to somebody. But see, I get it now. Because summertime is here. The sundresses are going to come out. And it's no secret. The hotter it gets, the less people wear. And you're going to see it. And you're going to see exactly where people are coming from without even saying a word. And I know somebody said, well, Joe, that's being biased, Joe. You can't say that. No, I'm asking you just take note. If you take note, you'll be surprised what you see. Because everything is revealed. You just got to know what to look for, what the signatures are. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, y'all. So we're getting ready to roll into this beautiful weekend. Actually, I know here in Virginia Beach, the weather, the sun, we're getting a lot of people starting to hit the beaches and stuff, and the water, the ocean is starting to warm up. And unfortunately, we just had a tragedy. Wow, we just had a tragedy 2 days ago. Unfortunately, a young lady lost her life in a freak accident, and it just was a reminder for everybody. Hey, you're not promised to see tomorrow. You're not promised. Really, you're not promised this next 10 minutes. Just like you can't get those last 5. You know. So it's very important, y'all, that you see your worth. You see it. You see it. But guess what? I still can't give you a pass because you know there's still work that has to be done now, don't you? Don't you realize every day that you choose not to focus on that, whatever that is, that's a moment you're robbing yourself from completion. So let's go a little deeper. What's keeping you from what you envision? What is it? And I guarantee you, you will already know what is not input, what's not added, what is needed. Maybe it's truth. Ain't nothing worse for someone to turn around and invest their time, their efforts in something that was never meant for them to begin with. And then guess what? Boom! They have that revelation and they realize, like, I'm not supposed to be here. How did I get here? But more importantly, How do I find my way out? So that's how God does. That's all he do. Remember when I used the analogy of the bill? Your typical bill, right? Every month you get a notification, maybe you be up here on here, or you get it in the mail saying, hey, you owe us this, right? Well, before they get to the point of saying we're gonna cut your stuff off, they're gonna give you so many uh notifications letting you know, like, yeah, it's getting serious here. Okay, here's your options. But if you choose to ignore these signs, why are you wasting energy and being surprised when those services are cut off? I'll tell you why. Because that's what denial does. That's what the devil uses. He loves that. He gets off on that. He loves to watch mankind fall on their butt. But he celebrates when you stay there. When you stay there. When you turn around and say, well, you know what? Well, this is the best I'm going to do. Are you serious? Are you serious? And a lot of people do that, y'all. A lot of people make concessions within themselves and they say, well, you know what? It's just what it is. It's not what it is. It's what you choose. And the anguish that comes from that is when you have those dreams. Oh, I know I'm talking to somebody. You have dreams that contradict that. You have an envisionment in your mind that constantly reminds you, this is where you're really supposed to be. That's what God do. He's letting you know, no matter what you've done, no matter what your environment is, you still got support. But you can't get support. You can't benefit that support unless you choose not to A, acknowledge what's broken, B, make a conscious decision to gain insight from that, and C, step out on faith. But we live in a world where we value that dollar. Cash is king is what they say. Money makes the world go round. Only to suffer in silence. You know, the one thing that constantly comes up, the one question that comes up all the time, I know for me, is this. If your elders had ability to come back, to look at their family tree, to look upon you, to interact with you, would they embrace you with a love of a hug and kiss, or would they grab the first thing that they could find and get to swinging? You know what I'm saying? People don't realize that you are going to be somebody's elder. So therefore, you are going to be the navigator for your family tree. One day, you're not going to be here. All summed up between the hash mark between birth and death. What will your story say? Johnny was born here. Johnny had potential and was very intelligent, but Johnny chose to find love and gravitated in the streets to only begin a habitual cycle of incarceration. Johnny had offspring from various women, that would only raise them up of being dysfunctional, and therefore that generational line would increase more pain. Nah, that's not your story. Never was. I really believe a lot of people deep down inside want to feel emotionally safe, want to define their truth, and I believe a lot of people are starting to find their voice. And it always happens when there's something that occurs where you feel like that was the last proverbial straw that was broke. Now you are on 10. Now that rebellion comes out. Now the things that mattered sit to the side. But those are all deceptions, y'all. All those things didn't have to play out. Ain't nothing worse than when someone makes a position or a decision to self abuse themselves through behavioral practices. I didn't get love at home, so I guess I'll make my own. And Johnny goes out and sleeps around with as many suitors as he can, only to end up with a disease, only to end up with a major disappointment. Susie only wanted the love of her father, but because she didn't have the love of her father or wisdom, she made a decision within her mind that she would create the perfect man only to be shared amongst a multitude, a plethora of Johns. Queen, king, just know this. Until you make a conscious decision to stop running from yourself, I'm talking about you, not your stick man, not the female of the hour that is nothing but a social distraction to what you need to do. Because, see, if you let the eye do it, the eye will deceive you, but the heart is deceived first. That's why pain always comes right before you, but you don't realize what is placed before you. But guess what? You ain't got to choose it. And you know what's scary? I saw a survey that said that the average teenager now, before the age of 25, 27, one, it said the average age of sexual experiences is over 70. Over 70 people. That's pretty scary, y'all. So I kind of understand why most women try to do this, because the typical female today, you'll meet two. You have the ones that are choose to be assertive and brass and feel, and they have a position of, I don't need a man, and I'm going to do things my way. But what you don't realize is you're watching someone self-destruct from the inside out. But what you don't realize is they're under spiritual attack. The person that is in front of you is not the real person. That is nothing but a social, economical mask to play the role. And then once the role is complete, behind closed doors they go, only to recharge, reset for another show. But what's crazy is media is being absorbed at an alarming rate, y'all. But you know what caught my eye is the fact that we've got a monumental amount of women that are choosing to be exhibitionists. You know, you see the twerker videos out there. And the first thing that comes out of my mouth is like, where's their dad? Typical male that sees those doesn't see that's a young girl. They just see a healthy body. And they find amusement from that because they don't give a damn about the intellect that is found within that person. They see the entertainment, and the habitual cycle continues over and over again. You're not entertainment, y'all. You're an investment. That's why I've always conveyed not everybody is supposed to know your story, but more importantly, not a lot of people are meant to hear you breathe. But if you don't admit to yourself what is broken, you will never have the inspiration to fix what is broken because you have to acknowledge both. I know I'm talking to someone. See, we break our own cycles, y'all. The key is seeing your self-worth. The result is when you choose not to, guess what? The same behaviors that young girl was doing when she was 15, she 9 times out of 10 will be doing when she's 45. The only thing difference is there'll be a whole lot of men. So it doesn't surprise me why you hear social call for acceptance of young women gravitating to older guys, and they justify, well, my maturity level is equal to his. But when you should think about it, if his maturity level is equal to yours, then he's not mature. What y'all got to talk about but being butt naked and barefoot, robbing you of your essence. So you're being preyed upon. Women do it all the time. I'm a firm believer too. Like they say, the abuser without care becomes the abused without care becomes the abuser. It's a habitual cycle, y'all. That cougar was not a cougar unless someone taught. The student will one day become the master. No different than these guys out here slinging their bingo dabbers wherever they can dab it. Why? Because society looks at that as that's what manhood is. You go out there and sow your seed. But kings, think about it. This may be alarming to you. You realize the more you spill your seed on ground that's not cultivated, it blocks your growth. But guess what? There's a spiritual connection to you too. Because why do you think it's not coincidental that boxers are not intimate before their fight? Because guess what? It's connected to your brain. It has something to do with your brain. Your essence is tied to your spirit. So guess what? That may make sense why God said, I'll paraphrase, don't marry someone that is not of your level, or do not the yoke will not marry the unyoked. Two people not on the same position can't go in the same direction. They'll always be divided. But that devil knows that. You understand? But we as men, I'm saying that from a social standpoint, society, that's what I meant. Will use the justification of saying, well, you know what, I just have a type. Just like the ill-informed young girl in a woman's body will never admit, but she gravitates towards the bad boy. Rude word, bad. Focus, boy. Why? Teach you a lesson, to teach you what you don't need. And the sooner you grab that lesson, the sooner your life will change. Otherwise, the bruises and scars. How about the wearing of your temple? Queen, you think it looks that way for is no. Get off the internet trying to self-diagnose yourself and go to a doctor. Maybe it's time that you cool your feet. I'm just saying, y'all. Because the devil gets off on destroying people's lives. But the devil can't destroy nobody's lives unless you sign off on it. Let me tell you, no matter how bad situations are, you've got to sign off on it before it can come to pass. You got to sign off. But it doesn't matter until you have that if you don't have that relationship with God, your life will not be as it's destined to be. Bottom line. There's no value in a cheap imitation of an original. Oh yeah, people do that too. She's all prim and proper for you, right, King? But you might not realize you the consolation prize because the person that she wants lives in here. You just happen to be the physical manifestation of it. People do that. People get married for security. How brazen is that? They don't get married for love. If that ain't a slap in the face, I don't know what is. That's why it's very important that communication is there. Because you got to remember, your mate is your best friend. They are a mirror representation of who you are and what your spiritual connection is. So if you're seeing things that they're doing that you don't condone, guess what? Those same things live inside you. We are what we attract, y'all. That is the law of attraction. The law of attraction is nothing but descriptive words talking about spirit. So if your environment is jacked up, the apple don't fall far from the tree, y'all. I told you that too, Kings. You got somebody significant in your life? Look at them all. Look at who spends the most time, because those traits are in them. Don't get caught up on that. You'll be very disappointed if you do. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Please, if you have not, fall back in love with yourself. Make this weekend the weekend that maybe there was something that you've always wanted to do, and you go do it. Do it for yourself. Don't do it for their acceptance. Okay? I would love to hear from you. Got any questions, concerns, like, don't like, hit me up right here. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your work. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Does it surprise you now? The more the temperature rises, the more and more cases of that darn the Zika virus. They said that would never come here, but it is. And oh yeah, if y'all didn't know, I kept trying to tell y'all, some of y'all are getting sick and been holding on to these flu-like symptoms more than a week. Listen, it's from the air. That's what chemtrails do. That's a residual effect. Get alkaline in your system, get your vitamin level up, and start eating right. But more importantly, keep your water intake high. And whatever is going on will be flushed out because that's bioengineered, y'all. Be blessed.